This is the University of National Champions. This is part 8. We're going to talk about it on 94 feet of UNC.
Gordy to Black. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan! Michael Jordan!
Swicker with the defense and the rebound. That's a good effort by Swicker.
Stackhouse streaking it on Parks. Rebound stock is good, and he gets fouled by Parks. Oh my goodness, what a dunk by Stackhouse.
Interesting that he brought him back so quickly, but you know what? They're down 8. It's very... You can't teach that. You can't teach that high-rising ability. 3. And Green rips down the rebound in traffic. 4-on-1. Great job. What a terrific job in transition. I mean, you could...
The glass no good. Rebound followed by Hansbrough. Good! Carolina.
Inside 30 overall. Love, top of the key.
Alice, the belt is over. Carolina. The Tar Heels have won the national championship.
And that is it. There is a new team in college basketball. North Carolina takes the title. Happen any final. North Carolina is the 2009 national champion. And this year, the confetti is going to fall to North Carolina. They're not going to be denied this time.
What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, December 5th. You are tuned in to the 94 feet of UNC podcast. I am your host, Lynch Graham. I got a big special guest, of course, in the building with me today. But before we get into to discussing things with him, appreciate all the love and support from everybody. Make sure you follow me and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like, share, comment buttons on my YouTube channel at 94 feet of UNC. Also follow me on my socials, on Twitter, on Instagram at 94 feet of UNC. Once again, just appreciate all the love and support from everybody, and it just means a great deal to me. So keep doing what y'all doing out there for sure. So my special guest today in the building with me, he has decided to stop in to the Zell Dome and chop it up with me. Like Lynch, I call this the Zell Dome. It's kind of like the Dean Dome, but it's the Zell Dome. Like, you know, everybody kind of stop in and chop it up with me a little bit. So, you know, hey, listen, get comfortable, kick your shoes off if you want something to drink, whatever the case may be. I got you. So, you know, but we're going to get into a few things today, man. But how are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. You actually caught me at a good time, man. I'm at the car dealership getting my car serviced, and I had of course, they can never do anything in 30 minutes. It's going to be an hour or so before I get my car back.
Hey, so we just perfect timing. That's all it is, right? You know, and for everybody out there, just so you know, Lynch is getting his Bentley service. Nah, I'm playing. He's getting the Bentley service, getting it cleaned up and things like that. But nah. But listen, I totally appreciate you being able to take out a little bit of your time today. I know you're a busy man, but let's just get right into things, man. Like, tell everybody about yourself for those that don't know. But I mean, you're not an unfamiliar face in the UNC family. So, I mean, but I guess for those that don't know, they must have been hiding or living under a rock somewhere. But for those that don't know, just, I guess, give them a little brief introduction about yourself.
Yeah, George Lynch, Tar Heel 93 national champion. First round draft pick of the Los Angeles Lakers in 1993, and had a good career, played 12 years, Lakers, Grizzlies, 76ers, and the Hornets. And now I'm retired from the sport of basketball and trying to scratch my entrepreneurial endeavors.
I got you. Doing some big things. 12 years in the league is that's pretty good nowadays. I mean, with the way that the game has changed so much. So 12 years, hey, being a Laker, hey, Don't get no better than that. A Sixer, a Hornet. Seems like all of the Carolina players always end up in Charlotte somehow, some way. I wonder why.
Yeah, at one point, our guy MJ was in control and had ownership, but I was there before MJ bought into the franchise and had an opportunity to come and play that 1 year in Charlotte. Then the team moved to New Orleans, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, we in the UNC family, of course, we appreciate you. You a legend in so many people's eyes, in my eyes. Like we totally appreciate everything you have contributed to us UNC fans, to the UNC family, to the university, even in your NBA career. Like, just to see things transpire from being a national champion in North Carolina to being a first round pick, which a lot of these young men dream about these days. Like, it's just it's remarkable and incredible. So, congrats to you. Like, I mean, I don't even really know what to say. I'm like lost for words, to be honest. But
yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. It was a childhood dream to be an athlete. I thought I was going to play football, but I didn't grow wide enough, fast enough. So I had to stick with basketball.
I got you. So I tell you, like, George, let's get right into things or whatever. Like, because a lot of the questions that I'm gonna ask you is a lot of the questions that I've asked everybody. B. Reese and D. Phelps, Chili Pete, of course. I had Salvadori on as well. So I guess the first question is always walk us through the recruiting process and what it was like and what made you decide to go to UNC.
It kind of happened organically. I grew up in the DMV area, uh, and I was a big Len Bias fan. That's why I wore number 34. For all you people out there who don't know who Len Bias was, he was one of the great players in the ACC out of the University of Maryland. Uh, I played my high school ball in the DC area up there in Northern Virginia. And so, growing up, watching ACC basketball, watching the way Len Bias played, of course, my dad was a Tar Heel fan growing up in Virginia. It's kind of odd because most households in Virginia were Virginia fans with Ralph Sampson and Terry Holland. But my household, every chance we got a chance to watch Carolina basketball, we was watching the Tar Heels play. But I grew up watching, a big fan of Len Bias, and I think it was right around my freshman year, he OD'd right after he got drafted by the Boston Celtics, the number one pick, and they never recovered. They never recovered from that. I think still today, it's had a negative impact on their recruiting and bringing in the great players from the DMV area. But so it came down to my five schools were Virginia Tech, uh, Maryland, Georgetown, and North Carolina. And uh, right around I think it was my junior year, my mom moved to Chapel Hill. And so my mom and my three sisters, my younger two sisters was in middle school and high school in Chapel Hill. And I was away up in Virginia at a prep school. And so there was a little pull on that my mom wanted me to be closer to her and have an opportunity to see them play. But I would play my high school games. Some of the games would be at Georgetown. And John Thompson, during those times, he never really went after kids. And I played high school ball with his son, Ronnie. And so I don't know if it was because I had my list of schools was, North Carolina and Georgetown. Coach Thompson and Coach Smith had a relationship that they wouldn't recruit the same players. And I think that played in my recruiting process at Georgetown because North Carolina was on the list. Unless I said I wanted to go to Georgetown, John Thompson wasn't going to get in a recruiting battle with Coach Smith. And I took my visit to Virginia. I took my visit to Virginia Tech. And, of course, when I went to see the Dean Dome, it was only 3 years old, I think, at the time. So it was brand new, the nicest arena in the ACC at the time. And when I saw that paddle blue and walked out on that court, man, and had an opportunity to, meet Coach Smith and the coaching staff through the recruiting process, build that relationship. And at the time, Carolina had J.R. Reed, Kevin Madden, Hubert Davis. Who else was from Virginia? I had already had 3 or 4 guys from Virginia. And then on my recruiting visit, a good friend of mine, Kenny Harris, who was in Petersburg, everybody was like, man, we going to Carolina. So I was like, well, I'm going with you guys. And, at the time, that's kind of how it all fell into place. And it was a great decision for me.
Yeah. So it's so many incredible stories. Like I know it for all my fans that watched it's cliche when I say all of the stories are incredible, because I mean, every time I bring a player on or a player comes on or anything like that, like there's so many different type of stories, and it's just incredible to hear these stories, because as a fan, we only see the games on TV.
Right. Yeah.
We don't see the process in the recruiting and how, George Lynch or Derek Phelps or Brian Reese or whomever, how they made the decision to come to Carolina, the behind the scenes, like what drove them to Carolina, like what was it like hearing the stories about, how beautiful the campus is, which it is, like, and I mean, hanging out with the players before, from the teams, while you're on your visit, like it's just so many different stories, and they're all incredible stories to me. But like I said, this is just looking at things from a fan aspect. You hear these stories and it's like, wow, okay, that's how he ended up at Carolina. Like, it makes sense now. Like, what I'm saying?
And Coach Smith was one of the few coaches that recruited me that didn't promise playing time. And I grew up, I was just as competitive as the next guy. And I wasn't worried about playing time. I was like, look, you're going to find time for me. I mean, I believed in what my abilities were. I knew what I was as a player. And, I wasn't afraid of competition.
And it showed. It showed on the court, for sure. For sure. Which takes me to my next question, honestly. Like, because, and I always ask the national champions, the ones that have won championships, what it felt like when that confetti fell. But I guess for my question is, that's part 2 of the question. The first part of the question would be, what adversities did, like, you or maybe the team as a whole, what adversities did y'all face that year that y'all won the national championship? And then what did it feel like when you won the national championship playing against the Fab Five?
Well, the adversity, started as soon as you step on that campus.
Right.
Every day, the competition in practice, and of course, the team 8 miles down the road was having success. So, one of the reasons I chose to go to Carolina was to graduate and and to win a national championship. And I had opportunity my sophomore year to get to the Final Four. We came up short against Kansas, and then the team down the road, they won it back to back. That was fueling my fire, and that's all I needed. And I was focused, going into my senior year that this was my last ride, and I had to get it done.
Yeah. So, because I asked, what made you, what brought out the toughness on the court? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, and that's because '93 is around the time. Well, I seen a few games, with King Rice, Rick Fox. I mean, I was young at that time, really young,
Mm-hmm.
but I really didn't. And I think I told Pete and D Phelps and them the same thing, but I was leaning towards being a Michigan fan just because of the Fab Five. Like, I love the Fab Five, right? But then you all ended. Then they ended up. Carolina ended up playing them in the national championship game, and then seeing from earlier during that season that you lost on a buzzer beater to them, but then came back and of course was playing them in the national championship. Like, what? Because I always said there was two things, right? So there was a couple things. I looked at Phelps as like the smooth player on the team. I looked at B. Reese as just the swift. He was just so swift. Like, he could change directions at any given moment. Like, I mean, that's just how he was. He could be going left, and next thing you know, he's going right, like just like that, within the blink of an eye. I looked at you, to be honest with you, and this is me as a kid. I looked at you and I was like, yo, dude is a bully. I said, I mean, that might be the worst choice of words to use, but once again, as a kid, I'm looking like, I mean, like, look at the size of his arms. Dude is a bully. Like, when he gets in the paint, like, he's different. That team had I mean, just so many different players with so many different styles. Like, as far as your style of play, is that something that you always thought that you worked on, or was that something that you started like really delving into and working on when you got to the university?
Well, I always played against older guys.
Mm-hmm.
So me growing up and not being afraid of contact, not being afraid of getting in there, mixing it up, understanding that, every once in a while you might get hit with a cheap shot, but you got to keep your composure and continue to play. Uh,
Right.
so I grew up in that area where you go to the park. If you lose a game, you're going to sit for the rest of the day. So, uh, we didn't have video games back then. You had to put quarters in the arcade machines. And I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't have time to play video games. So I worked on my craft. I stayed on the court, playing with older guys, waiting my turn. So and I think it all toughened me up. I had younger cousins. You know how when you have cousins that's smaller than you, they want to dribble the ball 50 times before they take a
Right.
shot. So I had to be patient when opportunities presented itself to get the ball. So I learned how to guard 1 through 5,
Right.
and I had all the tricks. If somebody hit me with a cheap shot, I knew when to get them back when the officials wasn't looking. Uh, so I mean, I love being in the trenches,
Right.
and it wasn't, growing up in Virginia, you play outside, the wind blows. So you really
Right.
didn't, at the time, I really didn't have a jump shot outside of 10, 12 feet. So
Mm-hmm.
I live down there, and when you go through those recruiting camps, not a lot of guys want to play in the trenches.
Right.
And Dean Smith told me one day, he said, "You can be the best player on my team without taking a shot." And when you play with guys, when I came into Carolina, it was Kevin Madden, Scott Williams, Rick Fox, Keem Rice, Hubert Davis. All them guys wanted their shots.
Yeah.
So for me to find time on the court, I had to do all the little things. And I didn't mind doing it because if he was going to reward me with playing time, I knew I was going to get my opportunity to score the basketball. So I just took pride in doing all the little things. And that's where that
Right.
bully, that toughness, that blue collar work came in because, rebounding and setting screens and diving on the floor for loose balls. That's not in the. They don't keep stats on that a lot of the time, but it helps win games.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I got to ask this question because I told B. Reese, it's one thing to play in the Smith Center and play in front of 20-something thousand people, but it's a whole different ball game when you in the New Orleans Superdome and you playing in front of 70,000 people. Like, not to mention, you going up against someone such as Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, King, I forgot his first name, Jackson, of course, Jalen
Jimmy
Rose,
King, Jimmy King,
yes, Jimmy King, and I forgot the other. I know his last name was Jackson, but
Jimmy King, Ray Jackson.
That's it. I don't know why I was thinking Steven Jackson, but that's another story. But what did it feel like when, number one, going up against C. Webb and Howard, but number two, when the confetti fell and the jitters, I guess you could say, of playing in front of 70,000 people?
Well, most kids who are recruited at that level, since the day they stepped on the court as, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, someone saw potential in them, and then they were able to hone their skills. And you probably could ask any kid who's recruited by Carolina or some of the top ACC schools that, from a young age, they've been in the limelight. They've been so-called anointed as a great player or a good player. And, as you grow and as you play in these gyms, and you play in these big high school games, state championship games, high school playoffs, the crowd size grows. And you have to be able to, part of being a successful athlete, you have to tune that noise out and just, you only hear what's on the court, unless it's a timeout and you distracted. But, playing in the Smith Center, as a freshman, you hear the crowd because you're looking in the stands. But once you get, once that ball go up and you get that first elbow or, something happens, you make your first shot, you really don't hear the crowd anymore. So whether it's, 10 or 15 people in the arena to 60,000, a lot of times you don't hear the noise.
Right.
You hear your teammates on the court. You get accustomed to hearing, Coach Smith's voice, and that's about it. So a lot of people do ask that question, but as a fan, when I go back to Final Fours and I'm sitting in there, you hear everything and you see everything. But as a player, you only see what's between the 94 feet of basketball court. Yeah, that's all you see and hear, and you get used to hearing the whistle of a referee so the play stops. But if you locked in, you don't hear the noise.
Yeah, it's like tunnel vision, basically. I mean, like you said, you just get locked in. You block out everything else, and the only thing you need to focus on is what's on that court, and just continue to think about how and why you got there. That's pretty much what it's all. And go win the game. Like, I mean, that's just it. So but I mean, of course, you got to let me know what it felt like when you saw the confetti. I mean,
when it was all said and done, it was great because all the hard work for 4 years, you wanted to bring the one home for Coach Smith, and to be able to accomplish that, it was a great feeling to enjoy that with the coaching staff, with your Tar Heel brothers, because we put so much work in the preseason, running the miles, putting the extra work in the weight room, getting those. Like then we practiced for 4 hours. It was kind of like a reward, and then of course the team down the road had won it twice, and it was just for me as a senior, it was just icing on the cake. It was everything you worked hard for. To be able to accomplish that as a senior, those wish and dreams came true.
Yeah. And so because you brought him up, so of course I gotta ask you about him. Why is Coach Smith the GOAT, and what was it like playing for him?
I think he was the GOAT because a lot of the stuff he does off the court for his players, in the community, and for other people is unbelievable. And the stories I hear today about people who never played for him, have just crossed paths with him, were just, I don't know the words to put it into, but he was like a godly figure. People, I heard stories, people say they were walking through the airport and they saw Coach Smith. He took the time to talk to him. And then if they saw him 10 years later for the second time in a whole different scenario on the golf course somewhere, he would remember every word and every bit about the conversation that they had in the airport. And that was amazing. And his memory as a player, to be able to play for him, and to the way he would draw up plays, he prepared us. And remember, I played basketball until I was 35. So I probably I started playing at 8 or 9.
Right.
And for 27 years, I had never played for a coach, now other than Larry Brown, that could probably coach toe-to-toe with Coach Smith. And it's like he could remember, we would be in a 4-hour practice and we would be 2 hours into the practice, and he could tell you what you did wrong an hour into practice.
It's crazy.
It was amazing. I mean, he could recall information. He would draw up plays that would actually tell us, look, this is what we're going to do, and this is how they're going to react, and this is what I want you to respond with. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I listen, the incredible stories that I've heard about Coach Smith from the players are insane. I mean, but in a good way, in a great way. Like, Coach Smith is the GOAT in my eyes. He might only have 2 chips, but he is still the GOAT, because basketball wouldn't be today what it is, regardless of whether it's the college or the NBA. Basketball wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for Dean Smith bringing some things in. Like, but a lot of people just don't seem to get that or understand that or know it, for that matter. So
the shot clock is in because of Coach Smith and his four corners.
yep,
Spreading the
pointing
floor.
pointing to the
Point.
passer.
Yep.
Yep.
Congratulating your passer, being a good teammate, standing up when your teammate comes off the court. You know, he brought some classy uh, things to the game, innovative, that we still uh, benefit from till today.
Hey, bringing in Charlie Scott. Like
Yep.
we ain't even got to go no further than that. Like I mean, it's just incredible. It's just incredible what he has done. And even though he's not here today, but to see as we watch basketball games, when you see these things and you see, like you said, the standing up for your teammates as they come off the court, everybody is doing it. Everybody is doing it. But it all started in North Carolina with Dean Smith. Like, and people need to understand that and make sure that they recognize that. So for anybody that sits up and says that he might not be their GOAT or anything like that, listen, that's fine if that's the case. But overall, he's nothing but the GOAT. Like, everybody learned from him, even Coach K.
Yep.
Coach K knows. So how can you not give that man that title, and which he deserved?
Give him his flowers, man. He definitely was an innovator.
Yeah, for sure. Like for sure. Like I heard about the $200 check. I don't know if it was $200, but I heard about the check. I think a lot of people know about the check, but a lot of the fans, not so much fans, but people just outside of North Carolina basketball that don't know. They don't. Some people don't know about the check that he left for everybody. That as far as all of the players that played for him.
Yes, that was a very honorable and gracious, tasteful way for him to think about everyone that was a part of his basketball legacy. No one was expecting it. Everyone was, a little touched and sad to see the way he, dementia and Alzheimer's set in on him. Because, like I said earlier, that was the greatest thing about Coach Smith, his mind and his recall from memory and years of, being a part of the game. And for him his last request was to have all his players, take their families out for a nice dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. So, George, I got to ask you, because some players have it and some players have. So, did you spend it? Did you honor it?
Yeah, I had to honor his request. Now I look back on it, I wish I had
Kept
it and framed it. But, he asked, if Coach Smith would have asked me to jump off a building and I'll be all right, I would have done that. So, when I got the letter, I still have the letter. When he said, look, it was a small gesture to take your families to dinner. And I took my family to dinner, Didn't think anything else about it, at the time. So it was great.
Yeah. So, like I said, some players, I know they spent it. They was like, listen, me and the family went and got steaks, and I'm like, because their thing was, it's what he asked of us, so I want to honor it.
Yep.
But then you got some players that's like, you know what? Nah, I still got it. But that's something me and him. That's between me and him. Like, whatever. So
every player has a certain relationship.
right.
In a So my relationship with Coach Smith was, I respected him. I looked up to him with the utmost respect, and if he asked me to do something, I would do it.
Right. Right. And rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, much love to Coach Smith, man. Like truly missed for sure. Truly missed
Yeah,
for sure.
a lot of these kids today, coach tell them do something, they say why.
Right. Right.
Nah,
Catch an attitude. Yeah.
nah. You do exactly
Yeah.
what he said.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy. Well, speaking of the players getting in feelings and asking questions why and things like that, because you kind of drove it right into my next question. What's your take on the landscape of college basketball like now? Like, because so much has changed and there's so much coming down the pipeline for even next season that they're thinking about adding into, college basketball with like revenue share, of course you got the NIL, you got the transfer portal. I've heard discussions that they may even be bringing in a transfer system, or not a transfer system, a trade system. So I mean, it's gonna end up like the NBA, which I hope it don't get to the NBA, because I think the NBA is bad right now, to be honest. Because I grew up in that.
I think student athletes has always been employees of university, whether they
Right.
play Olympic sports, whether they play, the non-Olympic sports like football and basketball. Uh, I think student athletes should become unionized workers, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and because, and I'm just talking about my experience. My experience
Right.
at Carolina and the pressure as a student athlete to win games, it was a 9 to 5, and it was shit. I mean, there was 40 hours, 80-hour work weeks, you know, under that type of environment. And, they say we a student, but being a student athlete, you know, at the time was second to being an athlete at programs like Carolina, the Dukes, the big football programs like Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, first to keep your spot, especially if you're playing. Now, if you're not playing, it's different. You can hang out, but when you're expected to play and help your team win, and you're a big part of their success, you don't get to do the other things that normal students do. So yes,
Right.
I agree. I think the student athletes should be paid. Now,
Mm-hmm.
how much they're compensated, that depends on the value and the work that student athlete put in. Yes, it should be a incentive based system, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there's Michael Jordan, or a kid like AJ Dybantsa, of course, student enrollment is going to go up. Recruiting, you know, just him being on campus recruiting as far as uh, he's going to help football recruiting. He's going to help all recruiting.
Right.
So the impact of some of these players like a Vince Carter or Michael Jordan, I mean, pay them kids what they want, and then
Right.
the university marketing and all that should work with those players to recoup those funds that they're giving out. It should be revenue sharing, just kind of the same system as the NBA. Now,
Right.
should players, and if they sign a contract, they should honor the contract. If it's a year to year, fine. And then if the coach decides to leave, the player should have an out.
Right.
If a player wants to enter the NBA, why not?
Right.
That's how I feel about it. So, you know,
Do you think a lot of this would be going on if the NBA didn't set that that you have to go to college for at least one season before you can even consider coming to the NBA? Do you think that a lot of this would still be in place, or
Yeah, I think it will. I think there's only 395 jobs in the NBA. Everybody can't go to the NBA.
right?
So I think it helps some kids to grow and mature by having
Mm-hmm.
to, take one more year after high school. But if a kid has the ability, like Kevin Garnett, uh, Daryl Dawkins, Sean Kemp type talent,
Right.
let them go ahead. They shouldn't be held back. I mean, the European leagues don't hold a player back. You can go play. You can be a professional athlete at 15.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about the trade system if they end up doing that? Like,
I
and
think it. I think it has to be I think it has to be both parties. If a player wants out and the coach wants out, then trade a player. But it should definitely be the player's option. Not a coach trading a player because it doesn't fit. Or the kid isn't
right,
working out. But I don't think the coaches in the university should be punished
right,
if it doesn't work out, or a player does something, outside of the scope of basketball. The university shouldn't be held to honor that scholarship.
so you like the trade system?
It depends on who has the control. If it's just coaches trading players, if I'm a resident of North Carolina and I choose one of the North Carolina schools to go to, and then the coach wants to trade me down to Florida. Now if it's incentive based, if you're gonna give me an extra $100,000 to go to Florida, yeah, we can
Mhm.
work. We can talk about that. But if it's just
Right,
because you got too many guys on the roster, you want to trade me, no, that doesn't that doesn't work.
right,
But most
right,
most players, if it comes down, and he's not getting playing time or he's not being traded. I mean, he's not, you know, having an opportunity fairly to compete. Most of the time, a player would want to leave. I think the problem that these coaches have, they're not honest with the kids. They'll tell the kids,
right,
"Oh yeah, we gonna play you," you know, and then all of a sudden you'll get no playing time. Like the
right,
kid Isaiah Evans at Duke. If he wants out, and I'm not saying this because I haven't spoken to Isaiah Evans or his mom,
right,
but just I know the kid, and looking from afar, he's not playing, he's not getting the opportunity. If he wants to leave campus today, he should be allowed to.
right. I agree.
But yeah, but on the other hand, if he's not competing and he's not, I was built different. So
Right,
I'm not gonna blame a coach for not playing me. I'm gonna look at myself in the mirror first and be like, what am I not doing to help this team win games?
right.
And if I can't do that, then you go have a conversation, coach. This level is over my head. Uh, I'd like to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Now, as far with Evan's situation, I think that's more so on John Shire. I think that's more so his fault, just because of the fact. Yes, having the flexibility to have so many different players on the roster where you can possibly go 12 deep, that can be a good thing, of course, but that can also backfire big time on.
I look at that, and I know the kid Isaiah, and I know his mom Mareka. Uh, when Cooper Flag signed with Duke,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Isaiah needs to decommit. I watched Isaiah play in high school. He should have been at NC State. He should have been at Clemson. if he wanted to stay close to home. The way he played never fit in the Duke style. No one's getting 30 shots.
Right.
That kid was taking 30 to 40 shots a game, and he should have went somewhere that was going to allow him to continue to play that way, but also be coached, so that he could develop other parts of his game.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that because, I mean, even with Shire going into the portal, picking up 4 guys in the portal, like, why 5 guys actually? Because you got Sheffield, but he doesn't get any playing time either, so he's like the 13th man on the bench. But you go in, you get Mason Gillis, Malik Brown, Sion James, like, I mean, well, yeah, 4 guys. Well, they might have gotten one more. My mind is all over the place, but still, I think you went and got too much, and the results are showing because now you got some players that are disgruntled sitting on the bench that have amazing talent that could actually be rising in stock for possible NBA, entry, draft, things like that or whatever, if they would have went to, like you said, to the Clemsons or NC State, or he didn't have to go to the ACC school. It could have been South Carolina.
The challenge, and you can put my information on your podcast. Any kid who's going through the recruiting process needs to have someone that's going to tell them the truth during the recruiting process. Not what you want to hear. Not what you want to hear. It can't always be about, the sexiness of the uniforms. I want to go to this university, because at the end of the day, when you're a student and you're an athlete, if you go into class and you go into practice, you want to play.
Right.
And like when I came out, if you wanted to be a pro, you had to go to Carolina, you had to go to Duke, you had to go to UCLA, you had to go to Kentucky, Kansas. You don't have to do that no more. You can go anywhere if you're good enough and the coaching staff has the player development.
Yeah.
You will be seen. You will be seen. So I just think that, unfortunately with Isaiah situation, he should have
decommitted.
He should have talked to someone who's been there and done that.
You know what's the issue? I think the issue is, and I'm not going to say that it's all on them, but I think a lot of it has to do with agents, because these agents out here, they get greedy. Yeah, these agents, they get greedy. Take the Nico Bundalo situation. Like, Nico put it in his comments and things like that, that he's always wanted to play at Carolina. Always wanted to play at Carolina. He's been a fan since he was a kid. Well, you get the offer from Carolina, and now you can't do anything because of money situation that your agent put you in a bad spot. And the family just rocked and went on with what the agent was basically saying. And now he's at Washington, somewhere where he probably don't want to be, but he's probably getting the money that he probably really asked for. But that's only because of the agent, I guess you could say. Like that, from what I've heard, it's because of the agent why everything happened the way it did when it came to him. So, I think that I love the NIL. I love the portal. I love all of it. I do think if these players are going to get these big loads of money, $2 million, things like that, then I think that these players should also be taking like some type of financial classes at the university. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah. But you know what, man? Once you buy the car, drive it off the lot. Once you buy your mom a house, you still a basketball player.
that is
And
true.
it comes back if you competing and you're not getting opportunity to step on the floor, that money ain't gonna make you happy.
Right. Right.
Those are the conversations that these kids really need to have. And I understand, you know, some of the money that you're getting, you can do great things for your family.
Mm-hmm.
But, what's being broke one more year, And
Right.
that's easy to say when it's not your family members and if you got to take care of siblings and your mom need certain type of health care or, it's
Right.
it's you just have to take all that in consideration.
For sure. For sure. So I got two more questions for you. The first one is we talked before the show got started. Now I've gotten a lot of people that have said things. Or I'm not going to say I got a lot of people. I've seen some discussions, and just to see if you want to address it just a little bit or whatever. You don't have to delve into it or get too deep into it, but there is, and like we said, like I mentioned to you before we started the show, there have been rumors that you have you have really been involved in the AJ Dybantsa recruitment process. Like, once again, feel free to disclose whatever you want, but it would, yeah. That a lot of people want to know, I guess, George.
Yeah, well, they'll hear it first on your show because nobody else has ever asked me that question.
Okay.
Uh, AJ's father, Ace, and I have a relationship. We met several years ago, um, and he's a great guy. Uh, we might talk or text, once or two or three times a month, but I'm not involved in the recruiting process. I'm more of a friend. If Ace want to bounce some stuff off of me, I tell him what I think. But Ace is a smart man. He's very knowledgeable. He's very involved in his son's recruitment, and
Mm-hmm.
he's going about it the right way. He knows that AJ has to go to class, AJ
Mm-hmm.
has to go to practice,
Mm-hmm.
AJ has to play basketball,
Right.
and he's going to allow AJ to make his own decisions. It's not going to be influenced by me. Uh, you know, of course, yeah, I'm recruiting for Carolina. You know,
Right.
I had a great experience at Carolina. I went to 2 Final Fours, got my degree, uh, played in the NBA, and I played for, like you said, one of the greatest coaches of all time. So my experience was totally different than the players that played for Matt, the players that played for Roy, the players that played for Bill Guthridge, and you know, before that. So I when Ace and I talk, we talk about my experiences with Carolina. He's a fan of Carolina basketball, but I don't think that's going to sway AJ's decision on what AJ does. AJ,
Right.
I talked to AJ several times. He's a great young man, well respected. I think him wearing the Carolina blue would be great for AJ's career after Carolina, for AJ's experience, basketball experience, whether he stay in school for 1 year or 4 years.
Right.
I think if he, with the Carolina brand, he could monetize and capitalize on more opportunities than any other basketball program could offer him.
Right.
Uh, so I think it's AJ's decision to go wherever he's, you know. I'm just one Tar Heel fan that appreciates the way he plays the game.
Right. Well, listen. For everybody that's been wondering, there you have it. So now all of the rumors and things like that, y'all can stop it now. Like, okay, like let's put all of the rumors to rest. You have heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Because George, you're not gonna believe some of the things that I've heard.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
I mean, when I seen the one about George Lynch's organization that he's working with or whatever is donating, millions of dollars, and I'm like, wait a minute, like let's slow down, people. Like let's slow
they
down.
doing too
like,
much, man.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much right there. So, like, I mean, hey, it's great if that is the case, but at the same time, let's slow down on things because we can't put things out there that just aren't true. Like, just let things play out the way that they're going to play out, and if it's meant for AJ to come to UNC, which I would love him in UNC. But if it's meant for him to come, then he'll come. Like it's just that simple. Like, whatever. So we'll see. We just have to wait and see. It's a waiting game right now. But
in the other thing that what you brought up, I work with MAI Capital. MAI Capital is the wealth management group. Deems May is one of the partners in the Charlotte office, and Deems were at he played football at Carolina, and so Deems brought me on as a business developer, and that's where that came from. Yes, we would like to manage AJ if he decides to come to Carolina and he needs a financial advisor. Yes, we would love to be a part of that. But we're not. That's kind of how all that come in. So that's where someone from the outside put that together, but it's not true.
Yeah, man, it was when I heard all of that, I was like, wait a minute now, hold on, like. Listen, George, like I not saying that George couldn't do it, but it's a lot. That's a lot. Like AJ, this is I mean, a lot of people. It's just been so much, George. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people's like, AJ keeps trolling. His dad keeps trolling. His dad likes Kansas State because he's a Wu-Tang Clan fan, and Jerome Tang is the head coach at Kansas State, and it's just so much. I'm gonna be honest with you, because AJ is not the only target. It's also Caleb Wilson. I'm burnt out on this whole recruitment stuff. Like these young men, and I'm not saying them in particular or anything like that, but just this generation, they draw things out. Like if you're going to a certain school and it's more so of you leaning more towards that school, then go to that school so that now everybody else can move forward and focus on other players if that's the case. But don't draw things out. Like that's my thing.
It's a process, man. Yeah. I mean, I signed when I was being recruited, I signed late. So some kids are going to sign after the McDonald's All-American game. Mm-hmm. My whole thing is, I think if the school that you want to go to has offered you, like you said, why wait? Right. Because on the other hand, you can get hurt. Now you don't have no offers. Another kid could sign, take your offer. Yep. And nowadays, with the whole recruiting process, these coaches' jobs are on the line.
Yep.
So if I'm a coach and I got one scholarship left and is offered to two players, the first player to take it is going to get it. You know,
Yeah.
so I can't. I mean, these kids 18 years old, man,
Right.
and yes, I think it could change the trajectory of your program. But Carolina is Carolina, man. I mean, we always gonna be in the running for some of the top players,
Right.
and I think Hubert does a great job of coaching the guys. Uh, the whole basketball experience at a UNC. I didn't play at Kansas. I didn't play at Kentucky, but there's only
One.
it's probably 4 or 5 basketball programs if you're a basketball player that you should go to.
Yeah.
All the
I
rest of them, all the rest of them is going to benefit that program and that coach more than it's going to benefit you as a player.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I mean, couldn't have said it better. Couldn't have said it better. That's why I'm on this side and you over on your side with the
Yeah,
experience and everything, George. Like I mean, I
yeah,
couldn't have explained that any better, to be honest with you. So that and listen, I appreciate you clarifying everything because it now can be put to rest. It can be put
yeah.
to rest. Like
So all
that's
you parents out there got a top kid recruited in basketball. I shoot it honest with you. Hey, look me up, reach out to me, DM me on my social media, whatever. I
yeah.
shoot it straight to the kids, and I ain't got nothing, no win for me at all.
Absolutely. I got you. I got you for sure. So my last question, I got to get your thoughts on this year's team and what are some concerns? What are some things that you like? Your favorite player possibly? Like how you viewing this team for this year so far?
I think guys got to make sacrifices for this
Mm-hmm.
team to be successful. Uh, I think guys have to do some things that they're uncomfortable doing. Like all these kids, everybody say, I want to shoot a three.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at our team. All right, who's going to get the loose balls? Who's going to get the 50-50 balls? Who's going to play defense? You know, everybody can't, you know, shoot the ball 30 times and for this team to be successful. I think even RJ has to make some sacrifices. I think if RJ's dad asks me what I see, okay, the last 2 years you were National Player of the Year or in the running.
Mm-hmm.
If your goal is to be an NBA player, what can you do differently to make your teammates better?
Right.
Instead of taking 30 shots, take 20 shots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Try
Yeah.
to average 8, 9, 10 assists. We got a small team. Pick up full court. Be a havoc on the basketball court defensively.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you got to lead by example.
Right.
And if you asking some of these younger guys to play more defense, sacrifice your scoring, or take kind of like the '93 team. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we ain't have no real superstars, but everybody sacrificed. I knew Donald needed to take 10 to 12 shots a game. I knew B. Reese had to get his shots. I knew Derek Phelps needed to take his. Montross was going to get his shots. So I couldn't go out my senior year trying to get 25, 30 shots a game.
Right.
You have to look at your team and see what the needs are. I think on our team, we're small. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody got to rebound. Everybody got to defend and take pride in defending. Uh, so those are the things that I would say if I'm watching this team. And it's not just RJ. Elliott got to be smarter with his fouls.
Yeah.
Uh, Withers, can you be more consistent?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know his frame don't allow him to, but he should have been in the weight room because you looking at Washington and what's the other young kid? Uh, they need some
Lubin?
help in that paint. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lubin. They
yeah,
young, not a lot of experience. So whether you're a fifth year senior, it's on you.
yeah.
Can you
I
be
agree.
consistent? Can you give me 10 and 10 or 10 and 7?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm
So,
I'm right there. I agree with you. I really do. I think what's hurting Carolina right now also at the moment is the fact that I think our expectations of Cade Tyson. I think a lot of people had their expectations really high on him. And I've always told everybody, like, listen, it's a little bit different when you come from Belmont to now you playing in the ACC. Like you're playing much tougher competition. And at Belmont, the plays were set for him.
right.
Like he had plays set for him. That's not the case at UNC. Like you have so many other weapons around you. Like he was the go-to guy at Belmont. So I think right now, you know, if his confidence was up more and he was playing a lot better, then that's also helping them out too, because now you can spread the floor.
But
And
it goes back to these kids, man. Like you got to go take your time.
right,
Don't. Nah, you can't expect Hubert and Lebo and Brian Frederick to say, okay, we're gonna play you 20 minutes. We're gonna get you 10 shots or 15 shots. We're gonna run plays for you. Ask yourself, are you trying to be a pro?
right,
And if you're trying to be a pro, you're gonna do whatever it takes to help your team win games.
right,
And if he was used to getting 25 shots, then that means you got to get in the gym and you got to shoot 800 shots a day. So when you take your 10 shots, they go in.
right.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah. Totally
So,
agree. Totally agree.
and I don't know if they telling him that, but if I was on that coaching staff, that's what I would be telling him.
Well, I mean, listen, we got to get you on the coaching staff, man. That's all. Hey, listen, I wouldn't mind seeing George Lynch sitting over there with Big
Yeah,
May and everybody, man. Like, I mean, hey, Pat's there, so I
yeah.
mean,
I'm
hey,
sure. I hope they're in his ear and pushing him to keep working. But
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
if you ain't
I,
getting the ball, go get a rebound. Hey,
but
that's what my dad told me. That's what my dad told me. If they ain't passing it to you, go get your rebound. Shit.
but in order to do all of that, you got to get in the game, and you can't play no more. You can't play just 1 minute.
You know what, man? Look, Coach Smith would have put me in the game for 30 seconds. And I guarantee you, in them 30 seconds, I was going to do something that them fans was going to love. So he was going to have to give me more minutes. Or the media going to be like, why aren't you playing him more?
Right.
See, that's what them kids don't understand. There's other stats that in 30 seconds, I guarantee you I got 3 rebounds.
See,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
again, that goes back to adversity, right?
Yeah. So we'll see how he respond. Hopefully you know,
Yeah.
you got to put that
Well,
work in, man. You can't just wait
it's
for a
not
coach
given
to
to
call
you.
your number. Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing is
And
given to, and that's the problem with this year with this generation. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the NIL and all of that and stuff. The players are now more in control than the university and the coaches are,
man, look,
and I
they got
think that's
they
starting to
hey,
resonate on the floor.
they got 2 gyms. And I guarantee you, if you go in there and watch practice, there's about 20 baskets between those 2 gyms.
Right?
So, and I get it, you know, I go play pickup at Willing Gym to keep my game tight. These kids got
You got to
more
get in.
access now. Yeah, they got
Yeah.
access. They got cars. Shit.
Yeah. You got to get out there. You got to get out there. Nothing. You get these kids got to get out of that mentality like, oh, it's gonna be given to me. No, you got to work for it. You really got to work for it. Like so, but the payoff is gonna be more than you can even imagine if you put in the work.
Exactly.
That's simple. So, but listen, George, I appreciate you stopping by, my guy. Like it's been a minute. This is as far as in the making to make this happen, and I mean, listen, it was just one of them things. Like I told my pops weeks ago, I was like, man, I'm working on getting George on the show because he was like, George, who? So I'm like, George Lynch, man. Like he was like, oh, okay, like so this was weeks ago. I was just like, listen, definitely got to get Lynch on the show because I mean, he, like I said, I sat there with him watching that '93 championship game, and that's what put me in the position to become a Tar Heel fan. Because, like I said, I was leaning towards Michigan just because of the
we
Fab
all,
Five.
man, we all love the baggy shorts and the black sneakers, man. Black uniforms. We was hoping Coach Smith let us have black uniforms, but it is what it is, man.
I've always wondered why they got away from that because they had that a few years ago.
Man, I heard the alumni didn't like the black uniforms because it wasn't the traditional colors, man. But hey, that's all a part of recruiting. We got to change.
Yeah, you got to get the black in there, man. Some teams got 4 and 5 different color uniforms, man. Like you got to get the black in there. The black can do something to you. Like you put on black, like that means that you going out. Your whole mentality can be like, we killers tonight. Like
exactly.
You got to get that black in there for sure. For sure.
Yeah, they need to bring it. They do. They should have 4 sets.
Yeah, white, baby blue. I think they should have a navy blue and black.
Yeah, I could go with a gray set too. So
I thought they should have 5.
Yeah, just go ahead and do 5 sets, man. They'd be good.
I mean, they do be wearing the gray Jordans, so why not?
Yeah,
why
exactly.
not? So, but yeah, man. Listen, I totally appreciate it. Listen, this is an open invitation. You're more than welcome anytime to stop back through. Just to chop it up a little bit. I got some things coming down the pipeline, so I want to get some. As a matter of fact, I want you to check it out because matter of fact, I ain't even gonna tell you. I want you to check out a certain episode because I want to. It's gonna be an ongoing kind of like continuous thing once I get with players. But the episode that I want you to check out is Connect 4.
Okay.
That's the episode where I had Ray Terry, David Noel, Quentin Thomas, and Mike Copeland on the show all at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And we went through and they picked out their starting 5. From point guard to center, and each one of them, is kind of like a snake draft. So we kind of went from player to player, and we just used UNC players or whatever. And then once they got their starters, we pinned them against each other to see which one was the best starting 5. So, I mean, it was an amazing episode. But I want to do that again in the future. Like I would love to get like Pete, Salvadori. I like to get D Phelps on, B Reese.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that. And I gotta get Donald Williams, definitely wanna get with him. So but like I said, it's an open invitation. I appreciate you for really stopping through, chopping it up with me, man. And it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel for sure.
Okay, man. Sorry, I had to do it at the dealership, but
Nah, you good. You
Yeah.
good. You good. You good. No problem at all. Listen, we got it done. I like the not you don't have to be in a certain setting or anything like that. Like, you know, it is what it is. Like, so
Yep.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Okay then.
So
All right.
any places that you got on socials or whatever where people can reach out to you?
Nah, man, I ain't real active on that social media. I have accounts, but they ain't, man. My kids still posting for me.
Got you. I got you. So
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do, I'll still put some the pages, your Twitter and your Instagram. It'll all be in the description or whatever. I
Okay.
do have a question. Phenom Hoops, is that you?
Nah. I just helped the guy asked
Okay.
me if he could use my name to help, with sponsorship and things like that for his league. And
Okay.
he runs a great league, good competition, man. So he used my name, and we worked together to try to get some good teams and try to get some sponsorship dollars.
Got you. Because I've been seeing that, and I'm like, okay, George got a little league and everything going on too.
Nah,
So
it's a weekend tournament right before Thanksgiving that they do every year.
Got
Yeah.
you. Okay. Well, now I know. Whatever. So, but listen, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. George Lynch. Yes, sir. So we're gonna wrap things up. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate George for stopping by. Like I said, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Go Heels, and until the next time, we'll talk it up.